going to be making some 10-ounce weights today. It's for the wreck fishing. So what I thought I'd do is do a quick video on it all, try and give you a few tips and get some leads made up for the wreck fishing that we do. Right, I'll move you in closer now and start making them and keep the video as short as I can. I'm going to show you what I'm using to make these leads and just show you the equipment that I've got. It is all pretty basic and it is pretty cheap. It's not cost me a lot at all. Anyway, I'll get on with it now and just show you what I've actually got to make these leads. I've got a cheap camping stove here. You get these from most places these days. They're 10 to 15 quid and they usually come with a pack of gas. I've got quite a chunky heavy duty saucepan with a little pouring spout. Any saucepan will do, but it's got a good strong handle on it and it don't get hot, this handle, which is important. I've got another little rusty tin over here for the dross, which you'll see it's part of the lead making process. You get a little bit of a scum which collects on the top. You need to scrape that off. I've got the mould down here. This one's a 10-ounce mould, a cannonball one. Then I've got a tin or saucepan, frying pan, whatever you want to call it, to put in the leads that I've just made. And then we've also got the lead over here, which I've snipped up into smaller pieces. The lead I use is roofing lead generally, so if you can, get hold of a roofer and get his offcuts, which you can see up here. I've got a nice big sheet here, and behind me I've got another big sheet on the floor. I've got about 100 kilos of it. Average, I pay £1 a kilo. Sometimes I get the lead for free as well, but you can get lead from plumbers and electricians. It is rare now that you get lead from the electricians and the plumbers, because lead's pretty outdated in any of the pipes or the wiring, but it is possible. I've used it, but I find this roofing lead is the best thing to use. There's hardly any time in processing it. It's easy to snip up and it's easy to get it all ready to go. If you get lead wire, you've got to strip it all and make sure you clean all the crap out of it. Same with pipes, you've got to make sure they're dry, because you do not want any water at all in this. If you get water in there, which I have in the past, it spits like crazy. So you need to make sure this lead is nice and dry. The only thing I've found with the roofing lead that you sometimes get is you get bits of silicone on it, and obviously old nails, sometimes bits of wood stuck to it. Just take all that off. It don't take too long, then you end up with this. So it's ready for the pan. The other thing I use is a blowtorch. The blowtorch is purely to heat the mould, but obviously now when we do this video I'll show you the process of melting the lead, preheating the mould, and I'll explain the process to you. Right then, let's crack on with it. Right, we get this pan switched on and we'll get some lead in it now. I'll place a little bit of lead in first. I'll shove the lid on and we'll leave that now to start melting down. If you put too much in, it can take a lot longer just to start the melting process, but leaving it with a little bit in, once you've got a bit of molten lead in there, you drop other bits of lead in and it melts almost instantly. As you can see, the lead's melting down nicely. So what I'm going to do is now is preheat this mould. What you can do is you can pour the molten lead into there. You may have to do it 2 to 3 times, and then it preheats the mould and you'll get a really good pour. What I generally do, I get a blowtorch on this and I preheat it ready for the lead. If you go too crazy, you will get a bit of leakage around the edges. It's not the end of the world, but give it a bit of a heat up with a blowtorch. Leave the blowtorch on it for a minute or so. Give it a pour and fingers crossed it'll be a good pour straight from the go. I'm also working on a metal sheet here, so it just makes it a lot safer. I'll leave the blowtorch like that for a minute and rotate the mould around bit by bit, just like that, and get it ready to go. The mould is preheating nicely down there now, so what I'm going to do is remove some of this dross from the top of the lead. Just gently pull it back, just like that. Obviously wear gloves while you do this. I've got some gauntlets on that I use for welding. But yeah, as you can see now, you pull it out, just like that. This is seriously hot. So old metal pan, and just get rid of it. As you can see, that's pretty clean now. We'll do the first pour now. That lead mould should be heated up enough, but we'll see after the first pour. Get your gloves on and just gently pour it in. To me, that looks like it was a good pour. Obviously you want to let it cool for a little bit, but I want to try and keep this mould as hot as I can. So with some good gloves on, get it unclamped. As you can see right there, that's a good pour. While the mould's still quite hot, what you do is get your eye, place it in, put the mould back together, keeping it together quite tight. This is still really hot, which is a good thing because the next pour will be good, but it's not a good thing for your hands because it's flipping burning. That's now ready for the next pour. This should pour totally fine. That's another good pour there. Just leave it to cool for 10, 15, 20 seconds. Just make sure it's set well inside. That's been about 20 seconds now. Once you got that to that point, give it a tap. It should just come apart nicely. As you can see there, there's another good lead. And we'll just keep this going until we've got as many as we like. These leads have been cooling for a few minutes now. Obviously from pouring it, you get that end on it. If you grab it and just give it a twist around, obviously you need gloves on for this because it's still hot. I can feel the heat through the glove now. Give it a good twist, it comes off nicely. Then this can be added back to the pan now while it's still warm, and it'll melt a lot quicker. I'm going to add this back to the pan and just show you how fast it melts. Trying to drop it because you get a splash. You watch that now. It literally takes seconds for it to melt. It's almost gone. So as you can see there, that's melted back in nicely. And that's it. We'll just keep carrying on now the process and make as many leads as we need. I'm probably going to make about 10 to 15 leads in this session. What I'll do is I'll put any links in the description to anything I've got here that I'm using. Obviously with the lead mould, the cooker, stuff like that. Hopefully this video's helped you out and I hope you enjoyed it. I know it's only a short video, but I didn't want to put a massive long video on here. I just don't see the need for it. It's a simple process, and just try and do it safely. As you can see, that's the dross. Keep taking that off and drop it into the rubbish pan. You can't reuse it. You do get a bit of lead wastage, but not very much. But yeah, keep it nice and clean, just like that. And it'll be ready to pour. Also, don't add too much lead to it, because don't forget, you look at it and it's deceiving. It's a liquid, but it still weighs what the lead weighs. It's a very odd sensation picking the pan up with only this much liquid in it, and it's seriously heavy. It is really weird. You'll see if you ever make it. But anyway, pour it into the mould, which is down there. Leave it to sit for around 20-30 seconds. Open it up, put it into your cooling pan. Put a new eye into the mould, close it back up and redo it again and it's just that same process over and over. If you keep the mould hot, you'll get good pours every single time. Just don't leave the mould open and sitting on the bench for a good 4 or 5 minutes, because then you'll get back to it being cold and you'll get a bad pour. It's not the end of the world, it's just annoying, that's all. Well, I'm going to end the video there, try and keep it a bit shorter than the usual videos. If you have any questions, just drop a comment below and I'll get back to you on it, and I'll try and help you out if I can. If you can, subscribe to the channel, and hopefully the next time we'll see you, I'll be on the water.